Welcome back to Edgework, part of the Hammer Betting Network, presented by FanDuel. I'm Zack Phillips, joined by Alex Moretto and Matt Alber to break down tonight's games, give out best bets, answer questions from the chat, and maybe dig into some futures. I got a follow-up yesterday from the guy who sent me the pick or the questions about the futures. That ended up with Moretto giving Bednar Jack Adams. Not giving, I mean pointing people to the direction of Bednar. So maybe we could follow up with another future here at the end as well. I did put a poll in the chat asking, should we change the anytime goal scorer portion? 79% of viewers right now say yes. So vote in the poll. Let us know what your thoughts are on the anytime goal scorers, how we close out the show. We do want to have something at the end there that we can do something fun. Goal scorers, points, maybe an SGP, something. But yeah, we're getting rinsed ourselves here. I don't know, like maybe just the bid itself is good enough to continue the fact that we keep losing these, but you guys keep winning. But apparently not. 80% of you as of right now are saying to change it.
Wow.
Moretto, let's dig into yesterday. What happened on the day yesterday? 0-4. We lose Islanders money line. They lose 2-1 to the Flames in a shootout. The under 6.5 in the Rangers Canucks game. That one finishes 4-3 Rangers. We had under 6 in Florida Winnipeg. The Jets put up 6 themselves. Then we have under 6.5 in Edmonton Ottawa, and that one finishes 5-2. What happened?
It was like the Wednesday show last year all over again.
Absolutely terrible. Winnipeg, Florida, under. It's funny because like market agreement this year with us has been like our CLV hasn't been as great as it's maybe been in years past. It's been a little bit more hit and miss, which I've been fine with. It is what it is. Having a good season so far. Yesterday, market really agreed with everything we gave out except for that Oilers total. That kind of stayed. It didn't disagree. It just kind of stood pat. Yeah, we got some pretty good numbers on everything, and like that Panthers game was just the wrong bet, the wrong read, everything that flew over. That was a pretty high event game that definitely did not deserve to win. Isles, like, yeah, it was a bit of a coin flip game, but you know what, like it's not like they were the better team. It's a fair loss. I'm upset about the other two for sure. Oilers game was very low event, and like, yeah, we got a lot of goals early. Olmark just really shit the bed. And then it was still looking like, okay, you know what? Even after that disastrous Olmark period, things are going to settle down, and they did settle down, and we're still going to get this home. And then like 2 completely meaningless late goals to push it over the total when the game was already done and dusted. In what was like a, like 5.5 expected goal game at most, at all strengths. And then the Rangers one was disgusting. That was just no goaltending to be found. That game was we were looking at less than 4 expected goals in that game at all strengths. The Canucks created nothing. Rangers couldn't really get a save, and then the Rangers didn't really create that much either. So that was brutal. And just to top it all off, like kid's still homesick, wife's at work. My dad came by for like 2 hours to help. Like I'm just like my throat's starting to hurt now. Like I'm absolutely in shambles. Winter is starting off with the bang, and yeah, just getting sewered here. This is rough. This is rough.
Yeah. Alber, what happened with you? You were pulling a Knish this morning, showing up late.
Yeah, lost track of time a little bit this morning. But we made it. And the best part was, so like I had beer league last night, so like I didn't even see the first 2 periods of the Ranger game. Come back, it's 3-3. It was cool. At least watch the third. But I'm sitting there, and my phone buzzes, and it's a text from Joey Knish. And I think I sent it along to you guys if I remember right. And it just says, "Wings suck dick." And I go, the Wings aren't even playing tonight. Like, why? Where is this text coming from? Like 10 o'clock the day after they play a game. Why am I getting this random text from him that says the Wings suck? Like, yes, they do, but like, where's this coming from, Knish?
Well, I mean, we're all kind of in orbit right now. Moretto's dealing with sick kids. You late for the show, having to deal with Knish. I've got Domi, Pacioretty, Matthews gone. We got Fraser Minton and Nikita Grabenkin playing. It's a nightmare situation. My tires on the car, one of them needs to be replaced. It
Oh
was
no.
scheduled for today. It's not going to show up on time, so it's got to be 3 days. Now I got to push that, so I got to go back to where my parents live for a dentist appointment, come back, and then next week go back for the tires. Gong show, gong show here on Edgework this morning. So what a
Should
what a
we
way to start the day.
should we, in the interest of transparency, should we do a season record so far? We can do overall, we can do by person, we can just to
Yeah,
appease
let's do
the
that.
people before we get started
So
here.
let's do that. Let's recap everything of where we are at. Call GRP's time expert. Here's the show record so far this season. What is the first? Let's go from September 1st.
Mike Vivian. Mike Vivian he's watching us on mute because he's got Christmas music blaring in the background right now.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think he had his Christmas stuff set up back on like July 6th, so he's been ready to go for a while here.
As a whole on the show so far this season, from September 1st to today, this is all bets, all sports books, everything, all types of bets. You could see here, you could track it all. We are down 3.4 units.
Not really.
Down
That's including the anytime goal
3.49.
parlays. Is that including the anytime goal things or no?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is including a record on that as well. But 159 bets. We are down 2.3% ROI so far to start this season.
So
but
if we do side, what would we be on just sides and totals?
let's see.
I mean, that parlay's got to be at this point, what, like a unit and a half, roughly?
I'm just curious.
Actually worse,
Somewhere around there.
because we've won some player props in here.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Some individual player
yeah.
props. So
Yeah.
down 5 units, if that is what it is. But I think this is honestly how we started last year as well. So I'm pretty sure that that's pretty much like the kind of start that we had to go about it at the beginning of the season here, or last year. So I mean, it's not really like that surprising that this is where we're at right now. Let's go all bet types. Do you guys want to see where we're at for each of you guys?
Yeah, I do, because I feel like I was having
Not really, but sure.
a good year, but then maybe I'm not. Maybe
Okay.
I'm wrong. Last night obviously
really,
lost
but we might as
4.5 units, so that probably doesn't help.
Let's start with Moretto. 89 bets this year, Moretto. Do you want to what do you think you're at? 89 bets. Let's just guess like units. Up or down how many units?
Well, last night was rough, so let's say last night brought me to like just about even.
You were up 6.4 units on the season. 7.3% ROI.
So I was all right.
Yeah.
So I was at 10, and then got sewered last night. Good.
All right, let's go Alber.
Uh-oh.
Alber, 41 bets. Up or down units? What do
I
you
mean, I
think?
was down last time, and I'm going to be about even since, I think. So I'm going to be down.
You are down 1 unit.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's actually better than I thought.
There you go. Down 1 unit. So money, I think that this does not bode well for him based on where we're at on the
No,
two
you
of
know what? I have a theory. I think I know what's going on. Check so money, but
Well, what's the theory?
because
Some
it's
math
stuff
is
not
it's
attributing
not.
to
I
both
think
of
that
us when
each
we're
of
both
our
on the
numbers
play
are
rate.
not going to. All of our numbers are not going to add up to our total because we have a lot of individual bets that we're losing, but we have a lot of double best bets and triple best bets that are being won that are not like a lot of consensus plays. So we each get a unit added to our totals, but we don't
Yeah.
get 2 units added to the overall total, right? So I think that
Yeah.
each of us maybe collectively aren't doing
so
that
money
bad.
up 2 units.
But when we're going a little bit more row, like so that honestly, that's like not in line with past years. Or normally past years, double best bets have just been getting sewered. Just terrible ROI. Like it's like we couldn't hit a double best bet to save our lives. Now when we're all on the same thing, or like a couple of us are on the same thing, things are coming home at a pretty good rate.
That makes sense. I was like, when I pulled up so money, I was like, oh, we've got an issue here. But yeah, that
Yeah,
one
that
makes
no,
math
sense.
doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, we're never going to win another double at best bet ever.
Probably, yeah, probably.
We're going to go like 0-60.
I hate the
Um,
card tonight, so that's the start.
Well, we will get into that. Last thing before we do, we also had Matt, who did send me the thing about the futures, he did confirm Craig's cookies, gas. Craig's cookies here, gas. There's another one if you're in the Toronto area. He also recommended. I have had Unreal as well. Midnight cookie. It's good. Also
had
good.
that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to games here today. We'll dig into those, give out best bets, hopefully get this rocket ship in the right direction. And we will do so because, as you all know, the NHL is back and FanDuel is bringing more action than ever because everyone knows hockey just hits different. Load up a power play with the hottest same-game parlays found on the Parlay Hub. Lace them up and follow your bets with player prop tracking or bet on the fly with the Pulse. The hunt for the cup starts here. Get more from the NHL with FanDuel, North America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers kick off the season with $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Just place any $5 bet. You'll get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Please play responsibly. You must be 19 plus, physically located in Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-866-531-2600. That's 1-866-531-2600 or visit connectsontario.ca. All right. I see Charles there says no Monty talk. I was going to save that for futures section at the end, but because he did bring it up here now, do you guys want to dig into any Bruins discussion? Moretto, you were on the train of like, hey, the Bruins are fine. Obviously, we were all expecting Monty to be out the door at some point here, but as far as the team goes, you think they're in a good position. So,
yeah, I'm interested to see what they actually do behind the bench here. I think so my thought process here is that the interim tag for Sacco is very much an interim tag, and I think they were intentional about using that because I think that they were not looking to rush the next hire, and they don't want to keep Monty around either while the ship is sinking because they know they have too good of a team to just call this a lost season and let this get fully off the rails. So I think they wanted to make the move, and they knew this was a time, but they also didn't have a ready-made replacement lined up. Sacco's been there for a long time. I think now like 10 years. He knows the team, he knows the room, he knows all that stuff. So I think they were comfortable just like, let's get him in there right now while we find the replacement. I do think they're still going to make a hire at one point here, like maybe before Christmas, unless they go on some crazy run right now. And yes, that's Charles. That's kind of where my head was at. If I start hearing rumblings of Q being the guy, or like they're talking to Q, I don't think I'll be able to click submit fast enough on some of these Bruins futures because like I'm not going to get into like I don't know, politics of it all or whatever. Like that's for that's not for this show. Just strictly from a hockey sense, like what's done is done. If Q is the guy and Q is the guy who's hired, that team is going to be a real problem. I do think we're going to see them turn it around regardless. And like you can have questions about the character in the room or what's going on in that room because like this is a few coaches now that they've kind of cycled through and have kind of started to tune out quickly. But I think the writing's been on the wall for a while. Blowing that series to Florida 2 years ago was, in the way Monty handled that goaltending situation with Ullmark injured and refusing to play Swayman still, that was bad. He kind of sabotaged them. So I think the writing's kind of been on the wall. I think there's been issues there for a little bit. I do think they're going to start to turn it around, but yeah, we'll see how Sacco does. If they start to go on a real run here, then I'm sure he'll probably just take over for a while. But like if things don't correct themselves in a hurry, I'm sure they're going to make a hire, and Q would be crazy.
No, give me Bruce Boudreau in Boston.
boy.
That's what I need. There'll be some other Bruins futures that'll be being played at that point. Alber, this is a team you despise here in Boston. You must have felt good to see Monty out the door, or no?
So part of why I despise them is because this is the kind of the team I thought they were going to be last year when I felt like they had a bit of a weaker roster outside of goaltending than they do now. Like I had a lot of Bruins miss playoffs, under points, kind of stuff last season. So like this is kind of what I was expecting then. So obviously last year they just go out and almost win the division, and this is the year they suck when I have nothing on them. So now I hate them even more for that kind of reason. I think they fired the wrong guy. Like, I still think Montgomery's a really good coach. I think Sweeney's the problem there. I mean, you just kind of look back at, like, what they have kind of in the prospect pool right now, what they've had in draft picks in recent years. I mean, everyone, like, goes back and points to that 2015 draft. But, like, I do think they fired the wrong guy here. So, from someone who likes to see the Bruins fail, like, yeah, I'm cool seeing them get rid of Montgomery, who I still think is a pretty good coach. especially when I think like, yeah, they're probably still going to be fine in the end. So I don't really know what they're going to do. I don't know that they're going to hire another full-time coach during the season because I'm not necessarily sure that Sweeney makes it out of this year if this team doesn't find a way to turn it around, even under Zacco right now.
But wouldn't you agree that the Bruins do have a good roster? Like their roster should be.
Yeah.
So that is kind of a
Right
reflection
now,
on
I
the
think they
coach,
do.
you know? Like
think
I
they
do agree.
but
I agree that
like,
Monty's good. Like I do agree that Monty's good. I think Monty's a fine coach, and I do think he'll land at his feet no problem. But I think it's just pretty clear that like regardless of his ability, they've kind of tuned him out, or he's just lost the room for whatever reason. And I'm not saying that's necessarily his fault. Maybe the team, like, you know, maybe there's something else going on there, and like they're not able to kind of, I don't know, like play for these coaches for too long. But I think that it had to be done. Like, I don't think they fired. Like, maybe you could argue, like, arguing whether Sweeney should be fired or not is a different conversation. Maybe, you know, there's things you can point to as to why he should be fired or shouldn't be. But I think that they had no choice but to fire Monty here. Like, you can't just, with this good team, you can't keep letting this train run off the rails and get to a point where, like, maybe irreversible damage is being done and now it's too late to salvage the season.
Yeah, I think from that kind of standpoint, like, I don't think, like, if you look at all their metrics and stuff, right, and we obviously spent a good amount of time looking at that, they're not that much different. What's kind of vanished is they're not finishing like they had been, and they're not getting the goaltending they have been.
Yeah, the goaltending's been brutal.
So it's like, those are the two things that he can't, like, those two things, like, yeah, I get the whole losing the room thing, but that part's kind of out of his control. So, like, yeah, when you're not getting saves and you're not able to score, like, obviously you're going to look pretty bad. But, like, on a game-by-game basis, it's not like they're just getting, like, pillaged every night on the ice.
And this is where you could maybe point to Sweeney and be like, he should get fired for that. But I think the reason Swayman's been asked is not because he got paid. Like, people don't realize this, and people talk about like, oh, he'll be fine. He's coming in and he'll be fine. He will eventually be fine. But like, this is the NHL. You can't miss training camp. You can't miss all that time and then just come in right at the start of the season and be good. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, that's not a thing that happens in this league. It's going to take time for him to get up to speed. I know it's been a while now, but like, he missed a full training camp. That's a month of hockey. It's a month of being on the ice. And he came back and was thrust right into games, which is even harder to get yourself going in because you're not like, you don't have that like gradual ramp up. So there's
a difference between game speed and like taking shots too. Like a very significant increase in intensity.
Like you need a gradual ramp up to get yourself going, and he didn't really have that ability. So, and that's because of how the situation was handled. I know there are people in Boston that are speculating that like maybe there's, you know, the culture has kind of gone a little bit with this Swayman stuff too, because he's a guy who held out for his money, where a lot of the other guys have not done that in the past, and they've just taken their discounts and stuff. I don't necessarily know if I buy into that or not.
As a Leafs fan, I hope that that's the case.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Yeah, I'm sure you do.
So, I mean, the other thing with this Bruins kind of situation they're in, right, and why, like, I don't know that Sweeney's necessarily at fault, but I think he's eventually going to take the fall here for a lot of this, is when they had that team 2 years ago, they correctly traded everything they had to try to win that year. And obviously it didn't pan out, like they lost that series to Florida, but it was still the right move. Like, at that point, you had a team that was breaking NHL records. Like, I don't think they had a first round pick the last 2 or 3 years. I don't have it in front of me, but like, I don't think they have one. I think they have like 2 picks in the first 3 rounds the next 2 years or something like that. And it's like, they don't really have a whole lot in the prospect pool right now. So it's like, I think to the point of what they're going to do, it's not like they have a whole lot of future where they can just go, all right, like this is like kind of a quick rebuild while they have Marchand, Pasternak, like some of these veterans they brought in this summer. Swayman still will be fine, we think. Like, it's not like they can necessarily do that because there's not like that next group of players coming up. So yeah, I do think they need to try to salvage it with the group they have here.
Yeah, that's why I think Sweeney's definitely not blameless here. Like, but that's not a move that helps you in the immediate future. Whereas they needed to do something that helps them immediately, right? You're not going to hire a new GM and he's going to come in and change the roster up. Like, that takes time. So you have to do something right now to get the season back on track. That's where, you know, Montgomery takes the fall. And then I think maybe if the season doesn't correct itself now that they've made that change, then I think eventually you'll see a much bigger evaluation of that front office in the future.
But I also don't really think they're in a spot where they like, okay, so the season goes off the rails. Let's say they're even worse over the next month. I don't think they're necessarily in a spot to be able to trade a lot of guys. Like, it's not like they're going to be able to do what the Flames were doing last year, what the Rangers did years ago, where like you have a pretty good team and you just kind of trade everything off and hope to get kind of a rebuild on the fly kind of thing going. It's like they just signed Zadorov to a long deal. They just signed Lindholm to a long deal. They have
Yeah,
Pastrnak
no,
forever.
I don't
Like,
think
Zacha more years. Like, they have a
you're
lot of these
right.
guys signed up long term. It's not like
You're right,
a
but
lot
they
of these
won't
guys
need
are free
to
agents here.
because these are good players. Like I think it's kind of a moot point because like I don't think it will continue to be an issue because like we said, the roster is too good. It's not like they have like guys who are completely washed and past it. Like maybe Marchand's getting a bit past it now, and you can say that for sure. Again, he only has 1 year left, but like Pasta and McAvoy, like these are like very, very good players that you can win and build with, and we've seen them, win with. So like I don't think they're headed that direction.
No, I don't either. I like their core is still too good to
Yeah.
like just say, hey, screw it, we're just gonna have like a complete fire sale here. So it's like
Yeah.
they do need to figure it out. I think again, there's the bigger issue for them is they got nothing else coming up. So when you look at this team, and I think we touched on this in the preview, like they are very much a one-line team. Like they
Mhm.
just do not have the depth of some of these other teams that we consider playoff teams, we consider contenders. So it's like, okay, you don't have the depth. There's no depth really coming up. They don't really have any assets to go out there and get it. So okay, even if they kind of get back into the playoff race, like I don't see any kind of move they could do that makes me look at it and go, yes, this team's a Stanley Cup contender.
Fair. I think if Swayman turns it around, I mean, and they have the blue line, that like I think they're still right.
Sure, like I think that like playoff team, yes. I don't think there's anything they can do that has me look at them and say they're a top 6 to 8 team in the league. Just not with this little depth that they have.
Fair. That's fair.
Let's get
They're a
into
team that
today's games here,
they would
guys.
need to, yeah, they would need to ride hot goaltending. But yeah, I agree with you. They're probably not, but they would if Swayman gets hot, they can be right there, I guess, is what I would say. But that's what they have to bank on. And that's you can say that for a lot of teams where like, yeah, if your goalie gets
Yeah.
hot, you can make a run. Yeah.
I was waiting. I thought Alber was going to say something.
I thought he was
there.
gonna-
No, I think we've touched on it enough. Like, yeah, I don't see how they get into that upper tier with some of the very top teams, but at the same time, like I still think they're good. Like they're a playoff caliber team. I just don't think they're in that top tier, and I don't really see them getting there.
Fair.
All right, let's get into today's games. There's only 5. I know you guys don't like the slate that much, but regardless, we'll run through each of the games, see if there's anything you guys do like in them. Let's start here with the Vegas Golden Knights in Toronto tonight. Vegas plus 105, the Leafs minus 126, total of 6.5 on FanDuel right now, plus 104 over, minus 128 under. Moretto, what are your thoughts on this Vegas Leafs game and where the line currently sits at?
This is a tough one because like with the Leafs injuries up front, I think this is a type of game where they're going to want to go even more low event and even slower and really just lean into their new style, even more so. But like, it's hard to bet Vegas unders right now because they are just giving up a ton. They've been so leaky defensively. I do think they'll bend a little bit more to the Leafs' will here in terms of like how the Leafs will want this game to be played. So I do think it'll be more of a low event slog fest here. And Hill has turned it around a little bit. Wall has been not nearly as good as Stolarz. Like Wall has been basically league average for most of his starts and then below, like significantly below for 2 of his starts. So he hasn't really been good. So I don't love that either. So stylistically, I do think this will lend itself more to an under, but with Vegas and the way they're playing right now and just like the goaltending matchup, it's not price isn't kind of where I would like it to be to get on it. And I'm just again like Leafs injuries, sure, and whatever, but I just don't like the way Vegas is playing right now. In order to hit on Vegas, so nothing for me here.
Alber, anything for you?
I don't. I just think it's interesting, like, especially over the last couple of years. Imagine sitting here and we're going, okay, Golden Knights, they're an over team, the Leafs are an under team. Like, it's just gone completely the opposite of kind of what recent years have been. I kind of agree with a lot of that. I don't really know what to make of this. I think this is kind of like a pretty high variance game here. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if like the Leafs dragged Vegas and this kind of became like a 2-1 kind of game. I also wouldn't be surprised if the Leafs kind of use this as a chance to play a more high event game against a Vegas team that has been kind of wanting to do so for a little while here. I think the side and total are pretty dead on. I just don't really have a whole lot else. It is funny to me. Like, these teams have kind of completely flipped their profiles over recent years.
Let's move on to the Hurricanes Flyers game here tonight. Carolina minus 230, Philly plus 188. Total of 6.5 here again, plus 108. Over minus 132. Under Alber. Any bets in the Carolina Philly game tonight?
So this is going to be a common theme. I don't have a bet on this. So I definitely lean to the over here. I don't think we have a goalie announcement yet for Carolina, unless I've missed it in the last few minutes when we're talking about the Bruins. The Flyers, I mean, without Ersson, like, they're just getting terrible goaltending, and I don't really see that changing anytime soon. So I certainly cannot play, like, I just will not play a Flyers under with Fedotov in net. I can't do it. So I definitely kind of lean to the over there, but like, I'm kind of on the spot where if I think this game goes over, I'd almost rather just kind of play the Canes team total or something, like, and not have to rely on the Flyers kind of contributing to that, because I certainly expect that the Canes are more or less going to be able to name their score here. So like, I think the number's kind of right, but I certainly do lean to the over, but I definitely would prefer the Canes team total personally to the actual game over.
All right. But no official plays in that one for you. Do you have anything here, Moretto?
No, and sadly, it is going to be a common theme today. I think maybe might only have one bet. I want to get on Philly unders, like I really do, but again, Erson's still on IR, and this isn't really the matchup for it. Like, the Flyers are playing very low event games and they're struggling to generate offense, but like, Carolina's a team that just forces teams out of that shell. The way they play and the way they come at you in waves, they just have a way of drawing teams out of their, out of that little defensive shell they kind of go into, and they'll get a lead and also force you to then attack them. And then that's when they'll just take advantage. And yeah, with Ersson not here and available, and Fedotov, who hasn't been horrible, he just hasn't been good either. It's just not a matchup for a Carolina team that I want to get an under in. So yeah, the shambles today, man. Sick kids,
Perfect.
Construction, 0-4 last night. It's all unraveling here.
And
right.
So, not about your struggles, but like, and the Canes aren't that like defensive team that's allowing nothing either.
No,
so
they're
you
not.
can kind of look at that, right? It's like, it's not like it's that team where we don't know if the Flyers are going to score 2 goals in this game, where we kind of look at it in recent years. Like, if we're looking at this matchup last year, right, and these two teams were very similar to kind of what they had been, like, we're looking at this and going, all right, like 6.5, like dead under between these two teams. Like, the Canes are allowing a lot, and you say they're kind of dragging teams into these games. Like, yeah, they're getting a lot of offense, but they're giving up a ton.
I think they're happy.
Like,
they're like, come at us because you can get your chances, but we will double whatever you can get, and we'll get twice that. So, and they have been, really.
Yeah.
All right, if you're watching, you haven't already, make sure to like the stream, subscribe here to the channel. We're going to move on now to San Jose, Dallas. The Sharks plus 365. The Stars minus 490 here tonight. Total of 6.5, minus 112, over minus 108. Under, Moretto, I'm guessing you're not sprinting to the window to bet minus 490 on Dallas against San Jose tonight?
No, I was hoping we'd get minus 450. Maybe I could. No, I have no interest in betting this side here. I do think Dallas they'll bounce back after that Ducks game the other day. That was pretty uncharacteristic of them, I'd say. And now, a Sharks team that like looks like they're playing well, but really is not playing well. Like, they've been mostly getting caved, just looking at their numbers here. Even that Detroit game was like, they weren't great. They were the better team. They deserved to win that game, but that's a bad Detroit team here too. So I think Dallas should have no problem naming their score here a little bit. I would expect a better defensive effort from them. I will say, San Jose has been struggling to create, but like, San Jose gives up so much that this could get out of hand and turn into like a 6-2, 6-3 game. So I have no interest either total once again.
Alber, do you have any interest?
No, I don't have a bet here. I mean, as far as the side goes, like, no, I'm not laying minus 490. No, I definitely, if I'm betting the side, it's San Jose or nothing. just again, and I guess I wasn't on the show the other day. We kind of talked about soft line, but like Dallas does not do well in these just massive favorite roles over the last year or so. Like if you're into these kind of trends at all, like they had some overtime games with San Jose last year. Like they struggled with Chicago a little bit. Like obviously they just lost to Anaheim the other night. This isn't the team that they blow out like Pittsburgh and stuff, but like this isn't the team I look at in these kind of spots and go, all right, like this is the team I want to back as their massive favorites. For whatever reason, it just kind of seems like when they're in this spot against these really bad teams, they're just kind of underperforming in a lot of them. That said, I don't think they're going to do it in back-to-back games. Like I am very annoyed that I did not end up on Anaheim in some kind of fashion the other night because I kind of was talking about it during the day that I did like Anaheim at some of those numbers, but no, like I can't see a team like Dallas kind of doing that in back-to-back spots. Kind of more or less laying an egg against one of these weaker teams. So no, definitely nothing on the side. I agree. Totals over nothing. Again, you kind of saw Dallas, like they're okay playing that higher event style against a bad team like Anaheim. Team like San Jose, relatively similar to that. I could certainly kind of see this going over. So over or nothing, San Jose or nothing, but I don't like anything enough here.
All right. Next game here. We only have two left. Let's go Preds, Kraken, Nashville -130, Seattle +108, 5.5 total -120 over, -102 under on FanDuel right now. Alber, back to you. Can we find anything to bet on here in this one?
So I just don't know if I want to be this disgusting, but I'm close to the Kraken here. Predators, like I know we've kind of talked about how we're looking for a spot to get on the Predators soon. I just don't know why they're kind of laying this big of a number on the road right now to a team like Seattle, who I frankly think is a little bit better than Calgary, and we're seeing Nashville as a decent sized favorite compared to a game like that. I just don't know if I'm actually going to get to it or not. It's just so ugly, but I'm Seattle or nothing here.
All right, Seattle or nothing, but nothing.
Nothing.
Moretto, any bet?
Nothing. Nothing here. This is price is pretty fair. Seattle has been playing a little bit better, and like it depends. We talked about how Seattle steps up when they play bad teams, and they struggle when they move up class. It all depends on what you think the Preds are right now. Are they a team that this is a step up for the Kraken, or is this a team where they should, beat like a not necessarily like a San Jose or something, but like a Utah? Are they in that class? I do think Nashville is better than that, so I do think this is a little bit more of a step up than it is a punch down. And that price reflects that, and I think the price is fair. So again, total wise, Nashville's been so erratic in how they want to approach some of these games. Seattle's loosened up a little bit defensively. Nashville goes from super tight low event games to just on a whim deciding to play back and forth hockey. There's no real rhyme or reason to how they're approaching some of these games, and I think that is reflective of the fact that they're just a team that's kind of lacking confidence and lacking identity right now, and that's why they're struggling, and that's why I won't be able to bet a Nashville total for a little bit either.
Last game of the night here, Sabres Kings, Buffalo +126, LA -152, total of 5.5, -130 over, +106 under on FanDuel right now. Moretto, anything?
Here we go. Get me an under here. What can you get me from an under?
Let's go under 6 -120.
Yeah, that works. Let's do it.
All right. Otherwise, it's 5.5 plus money, or 6.5.
The 6 -120. Let's go there.
All right.
Let's go there. So yeah, this is. I want to get back to playing Kings unders. This is the way the Kings, like to play. And right now, the Sabres are struggling. They're a little bit of an identity crisis. Maybe Tage Thompson is back. Whatever it is, what it is, they're just really in a rough way right now, and they need to figure things out in a hurry. Playing a back and forth kind of game is not how you get to that point. The Kings, we know that they can tighten things up really well defensively, and Buffalo's been able to mostly do the same. It's just they're struggling on the other end right now to get consistent offense. So the way these two teams match up and the kind of the state they're in right now, I think it all lends itself to an under. And these are some really low event Sabres games. Like their offense is really, really struggling with or without Tage. It's not been good 5-on-5, and power play's not been good. Like it's really hard to see them generating enough against this Kings team. So I really do like this if you're getting sixes. And honestly, plus money 5.5, I don't mind either, but I would prefer the sixes. There's minus 120 is fine.
Alber,
anything to add here for this game?
No, I don't have a bet on it. I do think the under is the right side here. You kind of touched on the Sabres. Like their games have just kind of died, and that's been against the slate of teams that haven't exactly been great defensively. I mean, the one worry here is, I guess, kind of goaltending. Do you really trust, especially kind of who's in net for the Kings right now? But and you're basically saying, like, okay, you need a bad goaltending performance to likely have this game go over. It means under is the right side. So I don't have a bet on this, but I definitely agree with the undertaker.
All right, let's get to the final section. Let's go with anytime goal scorers here again. You guys send yours. I saw Charles said need a goal scorer from Zach in the Leafs game. I was looking and waiting, and FanDuel, the sharp book that they are, especially on these things moving like this, I had one, and the reason I didn't give it out when we went to the Leafs game was because I had zero lineup confirmation in the Leafs game of who was playing with who, and they have moved the number, and I would not play it where it is. It was Nikita. I didn't even bet it myself at the old number. Nikita Grabenkin. He's playing on power play too. That's the only thing I know. There's no indication for me right now as to like what lines anybody will be playing on, who's playing with who, what person's playing center on what lines. Like I have no fucking idea. It was like 700 earlier, and it probably was worth a pizza bet if he was going to get a look into like the top 6, which I was thinking he would move to 550. So, I mean, I still don't have any lines. So like, I can't even tell you whether or not 550 is good. So I just wanted to let people know that was the area that I was looking. Nye's probably like a decent area. I think he was at 230. That's probably like okay for me there. Not like the best, but not bad. And one I will be betting myself, but I don't know if you guys would agree with it or not, but best price is at FanDuel, plus 150 Nylander anytime goal. He steps up when these guys are out. I know that that's like such a caveman thought process, but like he does, and I play him like 160 in games where everyone else is playing anyways. So 150, like probably decent look there. I don't know. That's probably one I'll wait and play myself later. Again, I'm not touching shit in this Leafs game until I get some indication of what a lines might look like, because it could just be a disaster throughout the entire day. Just wanted to
who else? You know who else really steps up? Mitch Marner.
Yeah,
and Mitch is playing well. He's playing very well right now, and I think he's earned himself a nice big raise, especially with this cap going up the way it's going to go up next year. I'm really happy for him in his camp. I think he's going to get the payday he deserves. So good to see that.
He'll fit in really nice on Bedard's wing.
No, you don't. But you can't. You don't want that, do you? Do you want him gone? They need him.
Yeah.
Like they actually need him. No, would you not say how?
Albert, you're on mute.
You're on mute, buddy. Feel free to join the conversation.
Like, did you actually just ask that? You know how he feels about Marner. Come on. Like, did you actually ask that
do we
question?
really want do you want to have this like real conversation? Like, okay, yes, yeah, sure, you need him, but like, do you need him when he's disappears in the playoffs every year? Like, this is the problem is that these guys have these conversations every year. We have these conversations like, oh, look at Mitch. He's got 25 points in the first 10 games of the season. Get him his contract. It's like, what the fuck are we doing? Because when you get to the playoffs and you play 7 games every year, he's got 6 points, and everyone's like, well, he almost 1 point per game. It's like, yeah, he scored 4 fucking points in the first game of the series when they won 7-2. Like he did nothing other than that. And then it's like, well, he got points. It's like, great. He's not impacting the game in any other way. And then he has this nice start to the season, and it's like, oh, pay him. It's like, for what? Just to get to the playoffs every year? That's all we give a fuck about? If you're paying the guy $13 million every single season, then you can't pay the other guys that, Moretto, you rag on us for not having. And I agree with you. You need those other guys. You need
Do
the
I have
guys
time to
who
go
fill
make
in.
some popcorn real quick?
No, I'm almost done. You have time. Yeah, you have the money then to fill in the spots that you need. I agree with you every time you say it, Moretto. I'm like, yeah, I'm kicking myself because I agree with you. You need that. But it's like you need these supplementary players, and then you get mad at all you want about like, oh, you're paying Tavares and O'Reilly and Matthews and Marner, blah, 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 blah. That's fine. To get a guy who could score 60 plus goals, like he scored 40 2 years ago, and everyone's like, what a fucking horrible season. It's like, he scored 40 goals. That's still pretty damn good. I agree, it was bad compared to his standards, but like, a guy who could score like that, yeah, you got to pay that guy. He's going to be your number one setter. Like, you have to pay these other guys who do those things. And then it's like, okay, now you have to use the money elsewhere to fill these things in. You have a guy who very clearly does not impact the game in a positive way when it comes to playoff time and doesn't rise to the occasion. Don't pay him shit right now. Wait. I would much rather just wait to the end of the season and then see what happens in the playoffs. Like, what if he comes into the playoffs this year and he lights it up? Then fine. You know what? Fuck it. I'll bite the bullet and have to pay for the guy. Figure it out then. But if you get to the playoffs again this year and he fucks off, but you signed him before you even got to the playoffs, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Seriously, I will like be banging my head against the wall because it's like, okay, great. Now we get to do this for the next 5 straight years. Thanks. Like, fun. That's all.
So there's two things I will say to that. I agree with you that obviously that's the criticisms of Marner are obviously that he doesn't do it when he needs to do it, right? But the two things I will say, or three things I guess I'll say. One, I don't know that this is a playoff team for sure without him. Right? What he does in the regular season is still massive. And it depends how you reallocate that money, because it's really hard to, you all of a sudden you have 13 million. Sure. So do the Predators. You're going to go out there and sign Stamkos and sign Marchessault and sign guys who are not going to contribute. And you're going to be stuck with terrible contracts. Right. So that's the other side of the sword that makes it tricky. But yes, he doesn't necessarily perform when it matters, but like, has Matthews? Like, Marner has had playoff series where he's taken over series. It was granted earlier in his career, and it's not happened in a while. But like, Matthews has never been that horse that you need him to be come playoff time either, right? He's had good games or big games somewhat, but like, he's never had a series where he's going to go out there and dominate this series. It's just never happened. And he got paid, and no one cared about him getting his money.
I think the only like pushback, the only like argument with that is that there are games where Marner is like a detriment in the playoffs. Yeah. You visibly look at him and you're like, oh my God, that guy is ruining us here tonight. And Matthews, like, yeah, I mean, he's not free of the criticism of like not showing up and taking over series. Like, I think there's been points where I'm like, hey, that was an incredible game by him, but it's not like a consistent all the way through. That's 100% fair. And like, I have no disagreement with that argument, which fucking sucks for a guy who makes 13.5 mil. But I think even when he's not the best, it's like, he's kind of just like another guy on the ice, like at worst. There are times where you're watching Marner and you're like, this guy like is going to kill us every time he's on the ice. And that I think is what stands out to Leafs fans, where it's like, oh my God, he goes out there and we get rinsed by him in certain spots when in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I know. I hear you. It's just, for me, the thing is not re-signing him. I think people saying like, we can't pay him. I get it. You're paying a lot of money to a lot of guys at that point, like a very few guys. You're paying a lot of money. But I think this is a much worse team without him. And like, I think all you can do right now is pay him and hope that he figures it out come playoff time. That's basically
that's what you're saying as someone who doesn't want the Leafs to win.
No, I have no. It doesn't matter what I say, because I have no say in what actually happens. So like, I think it makes no difference what I say or what I think. Obviously, like no one cares about my opinion. But I think you have, because I think that the alternative is not paying him and spending that money on like more domies and more like guys who are just like you're not going to get guys like Lundell and Luosterainen, and you just look at some of the third liners that like Colorado and those other teams had. Like, those aren't guys that you're just picking up in free agency. Those are guys you're getting young through the draft before they get paid, right? And that's kind of the way you're going to win. So I think you have to pay him, hope you hit on some younger guys, and that's it. But I don't know what the solution is. I really don't know what the answer is.
The other thing to it is
I was right when I said buckle up. This has been great. I'm just sitting here playing a bubble shooter game on my phone. Listening to this.
Can't be that great if you're playing a bubble shooter game.
The other thing, the final thing
I'm
I'm
enjoying the noise over here.
Is just like the last thing is just how many times can you run it back with the exact same group?
No, yeah.
And if you've got a situation to maybe swap some guy, and like I'm saying this purely as an example. I like not because I think you get this guy, like purely as an example. Let's say you have the opportunity, just because he's a free agent this summer, that's coming to my mind. Marner goes, and then you spend the money on like Sam Bennett. Yeah. It goes to your point, Moretto, of like, okay, are you going to actually be able to replace what he did in the aggregate? But it's like, let's say you become a team that can at least just get to the playoffs. Like you get there. Then now you have a guy who makes a difference in the playoffs, and then you could get like an extra piece to add to depth elsewhere because you're paying him like, I mean, honestly, I don't know what he's going to get, like probably around 8 million. I would think he's going to ask for at least. And maybe there's like, but you know what I mean? Like 8. And then let's say Marner was going to get 12.5. Now there's an extra 4.5. That's not being spent on one person. That's going to be spent elsewhere. However you choose to allocate that. But like, those are the things I look at where I'm like, hey, what are the problems that we have every year? Oh, maybe that guy is out there elsewhere, or via trade with somebody where it's like, you don't sign Marner and then maybe you have to trade other pieces to go and get some type of player that's out there on some other team. Like maybe those are options for you. Whereas if you just bring him back, that is kind of off the table in certain situations. And it's more about the bigger picture conversation for me and not as much about the actual individual players of like
actually Sam Bennett
it's
or whatever.
the same group, man.
But no, I hear what you're saying. But it's because
hey, chat, while we're waiting here, I need another fantasy quarterback this week. Cooper Rush or Will Levis. All right, back to the conversation.
Those are horrible options. I think that like, so again, just using Bennett as the example. So the thing is, those guys are great when they're paid, like when they're not being
less
paid.
money.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You got to go out there and find like those guys that are not those guys yet, and they become those guys for you on cheap deals. Whereas like, I'm not saying you're advocating for the Leafs to go out and sign Sam Bennett exactly. Like that's not what you're saying. But like in that case, like a team's gonna go out there and maybe it's Florida, maybe it's not. If Florida signs him, I'm sure it'll be for like 2 million because the way they do business is insane. Somehow they just get these guys. But like a team that like Nashville goes out there and signs Sam Bennett for like 8.5 million. Yeah, Sam Bennett's a really good player, but he's not going to help your team at 8.5 million. Right?
Agreed.
Like you need to go out there and sign guys like that have yet to become those guys, or draft those guys that are eventually going to become those $7-8 million players that you're still paying, 3 million or 4 million on a bridge deal or something like that. Right.
Yeah. But like also even to that point where it's like kind of like frustrating looking at it. Last thing about the Leafs stuff, I saw there was goal scorer sent, but the
were sent like 20 minutes ago now.
No. The last thing is like you brought up that point of like finding those guys. Guess like Sam Bennett was in Calgary before Florida.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you got to get lucky to a degree, but maybe they're out there. And
but that's you trade for the guys that are like and now I'm not, this is absolutely not advocating for any team to go out and do this, but like Trevor Zegras, not him specifically, but guys who are like, are talented or good, but have been kind of fallen out of favor for whatever reason on their team. And you go trade for them at their nut low value, like a Kirby Dach. Again, not him exactly, but like those types of deals, and hitting on those types of deals is how you build a winning team, right? And that's how we've seen teams kind of construct these winning rosters. And it's funny, Charles brings it up in the chat. If only the Leafs had some guys like Mason Marchment or Carter Verhaeghe, which they might have had at one point.
Yep. I know. All right, let's go goal scorers. Also, Leafs lines updated. I'm not doing this at plus 550. Gravenkin third line. Nick Robertson, Fraser Minton, Nikita Gravenkin. What do you think about that, Moretto?
I think they will play under 10 minutes. I think they will
Pontus
play under 10
Holmberg,
minutes.
second line center.
Second line center?
Yeah, wonderful.
Man.
Yeah.
I
What a
that's
night.
not enough for me to get on a Holmberg anytime goal. I'll tell you that much.
No, not for me either.
No.
Not for me either. All right, here, you know what I'll do? I'll give out a bet stamp for people who sat here and waited with us. I'll give out a bet stamp player prop bet.
You better throw him like a plus 600 winner after having to listen to that.
No, people like that. Let's go. Zach Levine. Yeah, let's do that one. I think that's good. This is from the strictly from BetStamp Player Prop Tool. I'm literally just grabbing a number that's good.
Yeah, that's a good one at FanDuel.
You like the 32.5?
Although I will say, like, picking off FanDuel numbers, I feel like isn't the way to. You got to use FanDuel almost as your Bible in the top 10, right? Like when FanDuel's off market, I feel like FanDuel's got the better line, and you might just go play the 30.5s everywhere else.
I know,
because the rest of the market will probably.
What should we do here, Moretto? These guys asked for us.
You know,
you got it. You see, you were looking at the same screen I am, so
yeah, I'm looking at the same screen you are. Normally why should we wait till, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a. You have to give something out on a FanDuel number here, and I think maybe what about Kopitar no goal minus 350?
I looked at that.
Thanks,
yeah, I mean those are there.
Dadonov no goal minus 360. Those are BetStamp Pro edges at FanDuel, NHL edges if you want some. Kopitar no goal, Dadonov no goal.
There you go. Well, we'll leave it at that. All right, let's go anytime goal scorers. Let's do this quickly. Do a no goal parlay. Fuck it.
Should we do a goal parlay and a no goal parlay tonight? Let's do one of each.
Okay, ready? Let's go. Let's take the ones that are just straight up edges here, Moretto, and we'll do those and we'll give them for people. So first, Dadonov, no goal, minus 360.
Yep. Kopitar, no goal, minus 350.
For the record, I don't have access to what these guys are looking at, so I'm completely useless sitting here. Not everybody knows that. These two have access to something I don't. So, like, I may as well just go back to taking a nap.
Wait, where do we find no goal in FanDuel? There it is. Dadonov, no goal, minus 360. Got it. Kopitar, no goal. Can you get me one more here, Moretto?
Yep. Matty Beniers.
No goal.
There's also a Byfield and Ben, but we already have ones in that game. So let's see if there's one from the. Not really. There's not one from the Leafs game really. That's
Sam's standing out as this no goal parlay and buying a yacht.
Yeah, honestly, 100%.
With how Sam was talking about his points model, he can probably already buy his own yacht.
What else?
Do we want to add a Sean Couturier minus 599?
Yeah, fuck it.
All right,
there you go.
I hope this gets reverse swept. The whole chat's rooting for it too. I would love it.
Okay, so Couturier, no goal.
It would be all time, Charles.
There you go. Okay. This pays. Dadonov, no goal. Kopitar, no goal.
All right.
Beautiful.
Oh my god. I'm not gonna lie, there was a point where when I was grinding some of the profit boost stuff in the summer, I was hitting no home run parlays and hammering profit
we missed one though. We could add Beniers or Beniers, whatever.
Oh yeah, Beniers. Yeah. Let's get this thing juiced up.
Benet.
No beignets. The beignet. What is that? The donut in New Orleans.
Yeah. All right, there you go. Wow, there you go. That's a parlay for you right there.
But now plus 104.
135.
Oh, look, they're onto us, man. They're already moving these lines. Get in quick.
Marner, no goal.
That just means you're getting a better price on Kopitar over half a goal, which is probably what
this means. The reverse. Yeah, this means this getting reverse swept just got better.
All right.
The no goal parlay. Dadonov, Kopitar, Couturier, Beniers, plus 135.
I've never felt better about saying it. This is the one. This is the one. All right.
Yeah.
This is
Yesterday
the one.
was confirmed not the one, and maybe one of the worst ones we ever gave. And one of the
Hey,
best
I gave a winner. I don't.
one of the
don't talk
best
about me like
texts of
that.
all time was giving 5 out, and I get a notification on my phone later last night. Kreider! Exclamation mark. I'm like, oh, we must have hit a couple others. No, Kreider 1 for 5.
Yeah. Like,
I'm allowed to celebrate.
doesn't care
my
about
winner.
everyone, he just
I
cares
can't
about
help it
himself.
if you
He
guys
just
give
cares
out
about
4
himself.
losers.
oh.
Oh,
All right,
man.
I can't help it if you
Albert's
guys
gonna-
give out 4
Albert's gonna
losers
build
while I
the,
give out
Albert's
the
gonna
only
build the
winner.
goal parlay tonight. He's gonna give us 5.
Yeah, all right,
And,
Albert, give us 3
Oh, boy.
anytime goal scorers. Go. What do you got?
All right, you're gonna have to give me a second. I sat here for 20 minutes listening to Leafs talk radio. All right, let's go. God, these aren't gonna win. What was the reverse parlay again? Can I just take 3 of those?
Don't message Sam on the side for goal
Yeah,
scorers.
yeah,
right?
yeah. There were a few sent in the
No,
chat.
let's
there.
go.
All right, let's use the chat ones while Albert's.
Chat. Sam
let's get a
said-
couple
Let's
from
go
the chat
with-
while Albert's finding some.
Let's go with
right.
Natchez.
Oh,
I'm not. I don't even.
Natchez-
see the other
Natchez was
prices. I'm
sent
literally
by
just
Sam.
going fan.
Natchez was sent by
Was it
Sam.
really?
Vito, not an Alber one. Not an Alber one.
Okay. I truthfully was not looking at his message. I don't even know who's on it.
Hurdle was sent twice by Sam.
Okay, so Hurdle's out. Who else can I use?
Laugh for
Well, we're Hurdle's in the parlay. Hurdle's in the parlay. We'll make that clear.
Yeah. He just doesn't count as yours. Hurdle is in.
Let's go Wyatt Johnson.
Okay. Rod did say Wyatt Johnson as well, but
All right, perfect.
Half
fine,
the
that's good,
NHL
that's
is
all right.
probably
We'll
in the chat at this point.
yeah.
So
Especially on a
Wyatt.
short slate. Wyatt Johnson. Oh, I almost made you do plus 1,300 first goal score. Clicked it and I was like, whoa, wow. How did the parlay get up to that?
Maybe that's the answer to do it. You see those tweets about like first basket parlays? Maybe that's our answer. Is just go with a 2-team first goal parlay.
Okay, give
How do
me
we
one
feel
more.
about Tage Thompson?
Well, we're at 3. Tage Thompson? Yep. That. What
Is
do
he
you mean?
playing
How do we feel? These are
100%?
yours.
I thought so.
I think he is. I'm pretty sure he is,
All right.
but I thought there was like a slight ambiguity about it.
So is this the Alber Sam parlay here?
Yeah. It is.
Sweet. This
Natchez
is the one.
And Rod. Netches, Hurdle, Johnson, Thompson. $10
This is the one.
pays you 1,000. There you go. Or you could go with the BetStamp Pro / Moretto / Phillips, no goal scorer. And you can get no goal on Dadonov, Kopitar, Couturier, and Beniers, and plus 135.
Head to head.
Head to-
I wonder who has a better chance of cashing this one.
All right.
I honestly think that it's. I think the Albert Stan one has a better chance of hitting. We might have.
Honestly, me too.
Actually. Okay, here's the question: which one has more goal scorers? The anytime goal or the no anytime goal? Which one ends up with more goal scorers?
Are they both 4?
That's-
They both
they're
have
both
4
4.
players in them.
They're
Yeah,
both
both
4.
Ours has more goal scorers.
Okay.
Probably.
All right,
I have
All
no
right.
idea. That's actually
That's,
a pretty good question.
that is.
Yeah.
We'll find
This is
out.
gonna be
We'll find out
dagger.
soon.
this is gonna be a sweat of a night.
Oh man.
All right. Oh my God, Beniers no goal moved to minus 430. That's respect right there. Our only best bet of the night. Our only best bet of the night is Sabres Kings under 6 minus 120. If you enjoyed the show here today, the Leafs rants, the no goal scorer parlay, the Alber Sam Rod goal scorer parlay, whatever else we talked about.
You
here, I
enjoyed
don't
me
even
playing
know.
games on my phone while on the stream for 20 minutes.
Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. You can find us on all podcasting platforms as Edgework HQ. You can track all the picks we've given out this year in the BetStamp app as Edgework HQ as well. Make sure to subscribe to the channel before you leave. We appreciate all the support. We will be back tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time for more picks and previews. Enjoy the games tonight. Good luck in your bets.